Coming up on Naperville News 17, a new look coming to the streets of downtown, a departure at the DuPage Children's Museum, and a Mardi Gras cake fit for a king. Hello everyone, I'm Kim Pierce. Thanks for joining us for this week's Naperville News. Naperville City Council discussed a major change to multiple downtown blocks. Naperville News 17's Casey Krajewski tells us what's coming.
A new look is coming to the downtown streetscape. At the latest Naperville City Council meeting, Council discussed streetscape improvements to the south side of Jefferson Avenue between Webster and Main, both sides of Main Street between Jefferson and Jackson, and parts of Webster and Jackson adjacent to the other development.
I couldn't agree more that something needs to be done. The last thing we want to see is boarded up and closed down stores in downtown Naperville. So we need to refresh.
When Steve Rubin, a majority property owner on one of the blocks, initially introduced this project, it was intended that the property owners would pay for the improvements. But after discussion with utility companies and other stakeholders, the amount of necessary work continued to grow. Water mains with pipes over 100 years old need to be replaced, ductwork needs to be extended, angled parking spaces will be converted to parallel, and the additional space that provides will be used to widen the sidewalks. Council decided the scope of the work would put too much of a burden on the property owners, and it's in everyone's best interest to keep downtown up to date.
We've lost so many of our local independent businesses because they can't afford the $35, $40, $45 per square rents. And so we need to keep that balance of what we have downtown. Not too many restaurants, a great mix of, national retail and some great independents. And I think by passing it through and increasing those rents even more could take some tenants over the top. So I believe that the larger percentage of this should fall on the city and not on the property owners.
While some on the dais felt the city should pay up to 75% of the improvements, others felt that number should be closer to a 50-50 split. They eventually found majority support for a 60-40 cost share, with the city paying more.
We have to be careful, I think, of further, in effect, subsidizing, picking winners and losers. The argument that retail is tough applies everywhere, not just in our downtown.
If less than 50% of property owners object to the cost sharing, city staff will return in 60 days with an ordinance to establish the special service area. For Naperville News 17, I'm Casey Krajewski.
Council was also clear that this cost participation will not set a precedent for improvements in other areas, as the location of these blocks are in the center of downtown. Also before Council was a new housing development, also coming downtown. Charleston Row 2 is an 8-townhome project coming to the corner of Aurora Avenue and Main Street. Council voted unanimously to approve the development, which is done in the same style as the original Charleston Row. That 6-unit building is located just a block west along Aurora. At a planning and zoning meeting in September, residents voiced support for the project, saying it is an aesthetic improvement over the houses currently occupying the land. The DuPage Children's Museum recently received a delicious donation. Coffee, donuts, and a check for $25,000 made for a great day at the DuPage Children's Museum. They received that donation from Dunkin' Donuts and Baskin-Robbins not-for-profit, the Joy in Childhood Foundation. The money will specifically go toward the Family Night Out project, which provides evenings of fun at the museum for families and their children with illnesses, special needs, or disabilities. Thanks to donations like these, the Family Night Out project has expanded from being held only a few times a year to once every month. Since launching in 2006, the Joy in Childhood Foundation has granted more than $18 million to hundreds of national and local charities around the country. The projected costs of the Mosier Tower repairs are in, and they're lower than originally thought. Naperville News 17's Christine Lena has more on the numbers.
Corrosion and deterioration are major issues that have faced Mosier Tower since 2015.
Basically, it said, this is roughly a 15-year-old structure. It looks quite a bit older than 15 years old. So that kind of threw up some red flags, and we started looking at it closer, and That's really where all the in-depth analysis came.
Engineering Resource Associates released a new report listing 4 possible ways to tackle the tower repairs. But the good news is it should cost significantly less than originally estimated.
Costs that we had initially when we looked at it back in 2015 and 16 were in the $3 million range, about $3 million to repair all the elements and up to $3.7 million if we even wanted to enclose the structure. Right now, if we go and we do all of the repairs, we do them in 1 or 2 phases, it's about a $2 million project. And if we enclose the structure, it's about a $2.7 million project.
One option would be to tackle the cracking concrete, corroded structural steel, and water leaks specifically at the tower's base plaza in one large phase for $1.3 million. To take on those same repairs in 3 phases would cost $1.5 million. And to fix all the concrete, steel, and plaza issues, plus enclose the base, would take between $2 and possibly up to $2.7 million.
The roughly $2 million, that includes about 30 years of inspections and maintenance. So we need to inspect it about every 3 years. We need to do a little maintenance on there. So there was about $550,000 included in that $2 million figure for inspection and maintenance over the next 30 years.
But the cheapest option is to decommission it entirely.
Basically, if we wanted to keep it in serviceable condition for a while, but not do any long-term repairs, and after a period of time, take it down. So we'd have to inspect it, we'd have to do little repairs on it, but nothing that would give it additional life.
The Riverwalk's Planning, Design, and Construction Committee will bring a recommendation for the next steps to take with Mosier Tower at the Commission's April 2nd meeting. Reporting for Naperville News 17, I'm Christine Lena.
After going in front of the Riverwalk Commission, the report would then go to City Council. After the break, District 204 drafts a resolution on new developments.
From practice to homework to home improvement to bills, your days are busy. That's why Busey offers innovative financial solutions like our mobile app. Deposit checks, transfer funds, and keep your financial life in order, no matter where you are. Whether you're saving for college, keeping the family in the family business, or planning your dream retirement, Busey's your trusted partner to make your personal, business, and wealth management dreams a reality. Busey, your dream, our promise.
We're proud to call Naperville our hometown. It's where we can enjoy simple pleasures, such as a stroll along the Riverwalk, or the excitement of a Friday night football game, or the hustle and bustle of a busy holiday season. It's where families can raise their children and plant their roots for generations to come. There's no other place like Naperville, and so we're proud to be the city's nonprofit television station, capturing on video the spirit of what makes our hometown great. Our programs keep residents here connected to one another and informed about what's happening in town. We thank you for your support and ask that you continue to watch and continue to share with your friends and family our stories about this wonderful town we all call home.
The District 203 Board of Education is considering how to help lower homeowner tax bills. Our own Christine Lena tells us about their discussion.
After passing the 2018 tax levy in December, the District 203 board is now looking to reduce it to save taxpayers money. That starts with the board's plan to reduce district debt by abating the $2.7 million debt service levy. At its latest meeting, the board weighed the option of an additional $1 to $2 million abatement from the tax extension.
I do so cautiously and with concern, thinking about future out years when we consider new initiatives that may be coming and changes that we have to provide to programming in order to kind of stay at the forefront of what we're doing.
The average district homeowner of a $400,000 home will see a reduction in their tax bill by $75 with the abatement of the levy. But an extra $25 could go back into homeowners' pockets for every additional $1 million abated from the extension. And some would prefer staying close to that $1 million mark.
I've seen where boards have cut the levy, cut it too much, and it does catch up with you eventually, and it's hard to make that up. My personal feeling is that maybe $2 million might be too much on this initial go-around, and then we look at the 1.5 scenario, and then the board would continue evaluating it each year to see what that ripple effect is and understand it more fluidly.
But some are considering going up to $2 million.
I'm pleased that we are, I think, well able to handle the 1 million, I would be comfortable from 1.5 to 2. I think 1 million is too low. So from my perspective, I would like to see us, hit that sweet spot of where we are able to not impact our future spending, but also, save our taxpayers' dollars.
The tax levy is the district's annual request for property tax revenue, which makes up 85% of the district's revenue. Based on this discussion, 2 resolutions will be made up, one for a $2 million abatement and another for a $1.5 million abatement. The board will approve one or the other at the March 18th meeting. Reporting for Naperville News 17, I'm Christine Lena.
With new economic developments in consideration around District 204, the board passed a new resolution on how they'll determine where they stand. Our own Christian Kenazal gives us the details.
School Board District 204 passed a new resolution outlining their stance on new developments within the district. Justin Karubis, a board member, said city officials and school board members should come together when discussing new developments.
I think we should all be in favor of economic development, but it should be done in partnership with schools.
The resolution comes after members of the Aurora City Council approved the development agreement to a senior citizens housing complex. The $29 million housing unit will be located on the corner of 75th and Ogden Avenue, which is within District 204's boundaries. As part of the development, the city of Aurora will see if the 30 acres qualifies as a TIF district. Municipalities can create these TIF districts to encourage economic development in a certain area by freezing the assessed value of a property. That limits the increase of taxation for a set period of time, regardless of whether or not the property value goes up. One of District 204's resolutions states it opposes any tax increment, financing, or other economic incentive without the approval of the district. Another is,
School boards should oppose reduction in their access to local property tax revenue.
Kathy Peel, District 204's board secretary, said the board is in unison about the resolution.
I think it is a good way to communicate with our community, that we are all in agreement with this, that there's nobody wavering on our attitude towards removing funding from our school district.
Fellow board member Mark Rising agreed with Peel and explained that close to 80% of District 204's budget is property taxes. He offered his opinion on how municipalities should proceed when thinking about creating a TIF district.
That the city, any school district should work with the school district locally before they're considering a TIF.
The set period of time for a TIF may vary, but typically ranges from 23 to 35 years. During this time, if a property value increases from the initial assessment, the excess value goes into a fund known as an increment. Cities can then take the increment and use that to further develop areas around the TIF district. Though the city of Aurora is looking to redevelop part of the 59 corridor with potential for more TIF districts. Karubis said the resolution isn't development specific, nor does the board want to stop development around a district.
So we're not saying, no incentives. We're not saying no economic development. We're trying to be as pro and positive about it as possible.
Reporting just outside the 30 acres, for Naperville News 17, I'm Christian Canizal.
Also at the meeting, the board addressed ways to handle the shortage of teachers. Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources, Doug Acarius, suggested trying the Grow Your Own program, which aims to recruit local community members and help them become future educators. He highlighted a partnership between Rockford District 205 and Rockford University.
They've made it so that they have a path where if they're in high financial need, they just pay $5,000 a year, I think for 3.5 years, and they'll have their teaching license.
District 204 President Michael Rasak agreed with Acarius and said the board would need to form a committee to consider all options to address the shortage. According to the Illinois Education Association, more than 1,500 teaching positions went unfilled in Illinois last year. A group of independent business owners gather every month to discuss the importance of buying local. Our own Casey Krajewski tells us about IndieBound.
IndieBound Naperville was created in 2008, inspired by a group of independent booksellers across the country. Anderson's bookshop owner, Becky Anderson, brought that idea to Naperville with a twist.
IndieBound originally was a book thing. It was a bookstore organization, and they tried to get independent bookstores to all sign in. Becky thought it was a great idea for independent businesses in Naperville to start to get together and learn from each other.
IndieBound is an organization that we share best practices, we support each other when there's problems, when we have issues. We do so much for each other that just builds community right there in that group, but that extends out to the whole city.
11 years later, the group counts 143 organizations as members in industries ranging from retail to restaurants to everything else. They meet on the first Monday of the month, usually at Krager's Brat and Sausage House.
I mean, it's just a good group of people, like I said, where we can get together, we can talk about our businesses, we can, we don't solve any big major problems, but we enjoy each other's company and like I said, a good group of people.
IndieBound's meetings often include a guest speaker, such as a city official or a local business leader. The casual meetups offer the group's members a chance to learn more about Naperville's local shopping culture and heighten awareness of the importance of buying local.
When you shop at a locally, independently owned business, you're shopping at someone who is invested in this community. They probably live in this community, and they give back to this community in countless ways.
For Naperville News 17, I'm Casey Krajewski.
You might also know IndieBound from their promotions, like Hiding the Grinch or Waldo, for children to find in participating stores. Up next, a free program for teens is coming to the Fry Family Y.
Shop downtown Naperville this spring with over 100 shops, from national favorites to one-of-a-kind boutiques, plus over 50 restaurants, and health and beauty options too. Downtown Naperville is the premier shopping destination in the western suburbs. And don't forget about Downtown Naperville gift cards. They make a perfect gift for every occasion. Come shop, dine, stay, and have fun in downtown Naperville.
What's the matter, boy? What are you trying to tell me? Is something wrong?
We live in a safe community, but not a crime-free community. If you see something, say something.
Naperville Animal Crime Stoppers.
Yes, I'd like to report a case of animal cruelty and neglect.
Speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves.
DuPage Children's Museum President and CEO Sarah Orleans announced her plans to leave the organization.
I had agreed when I came on to the organization and I came here that I could really help do some good work, and I'd be here for 4 to 5 years, and that we would then begin a national search for the new leader to take over a thriving, very successful children's museum.
The museum will soon begin a national search for its next leader, during which Orleans will stay on to guide the not-for-profit. Orleans came to the DuPage Children's Museum as president and CEO in February of 2014. She previously served as executive director of the Portland Children's Museum in Oregon and co-founded the Garden State Discovery Museum in New Jersey. Within a year of her stepping in at the DCM, Orleans was forced to navigate severe water damage to the 3,000 square foot facility due to flooding from a burst pipe. The museum temporarily moved into a space in the Fox Valley Mall during repairs, foreshadowing a potential move near the end of her tenure, as the Fifth Avenue development could force the museum to relocate.
This is an exciting time for the museum, but I also think this is a really good time for new leadership. This is I couldn't have planned it better, which is somebody to come in and bring their vision for how this can happen as we move forward.
As for what's next for Orleans, she's returning to familiar scenery.
I'm actually returning to where I moved here from, Portland, Oregon, and I'll return to the consulting practice that I have there. I think this might be the last children's museum I run for a while, but it's just been the greatest joy of my life to be here and to have the success we've had, and one of the greatest team of staff that I've ever worked with.
Best of luck to Sarah, and thank you for everything you've done for Naperville's children. The Alive Center is partnering up with the Fry YMCA to create a satellite teen space. Alive at Fry will provide free teen drop-in hours for 6th through 12th graders every Wednesday and Friday from 2:30 to 5:30 p.m.
Well, the Alive Center has been open for over 3.5 years now, and I think from the very first month we opened, we were getting requests to do something in South Naperville. So we definitely have had interest from the community on doing this.
Free mentoring, classes, and just after-school hangouts are some of what will be provided in the satellite space. It'll be a work in progress as the pilot program starts now and goes until August. Then the Alive Center and Fry YMCA will look into keeping it around permanently. This is only the first of a few satellite spaces the Alive Center has planned. Another should be coming to Aurora sometime this year. Striking some yoga poses proved to be a fun time for a group of kids at the Naperville Public Library. From downward dog to swinging elephant, the Yoga for Kids class at the Naper Boulevard Library was packed with kids eager to learn some simple poses and breathing exercises.
It helps me bring the mind to the body, and my mom said it's good for me.
Aside from the interactive fun, the group also read a yoga storybook.
Front leg, reaches arms way up, coming into warrior pose.
And ended with some quiet meditation. The next Yoga for Kids classes will be held in May. North Central College honored several suffragettes by hosting the Votes for Women play. Naperville News 17's Christian Canizal gives us an inside look.
In honor of Illinois Bicentennial and Women's History Month, North Central College hosted the Votes for Women's play. The story takes place inside a train bound for Washington, D.C. for a women's rights rally. The drama pays homage to the Chicago area suffragettes of the 1900s. Belle Squire, Virginia Brooks, and Ida B. Wells are joined by a reporter who is the only male on the train. Giuliano Catalano, who plays a reporter covering the event, says sharing the stage with the pioneers is something he'll never forget.
It's really humbling to be able to be in a show with 3 actors who really bring these characters to life, and to be on stage with an Ida B. Wells Barnett, a Belle Squire, and a Virginia Brooks. That's pretty amazing.
The story's playwright, Zachary Jack, wanted to write a play for Women's History Month, and when the Forgotten Illinois program gave him a grant, it helped narrow his focus. Jack, who's written several pieces on women's history before, said he wanted to highlight an important fact of Illinois.
I knew that Illinois was the first state east of the Mississippi River to grant women the right to vote for president. And I think that's a fact that a lot of people in the state don't realize.
The forgotten quotes of the Chicago area activists take a life of their own as the women talk about the discriminations they face. One of the biggest was the amount of money women had to pay for the train ride. According to the reporter, 65 Illinois women paid $2,000 for a ticket, adjusted for today, and that's nearly $3.2 million in total. Ariana Burks, who played Ida B. Wells, says she was in awe of what the women overcame.
That's just very inspiring to me because it makes me realize that you can do all you want to do, but the main thing is to be kind and to be a good person and know that you're fighting for a cause and you're fighting for the right thing.
Remember in the past to help guide us into the future. For Naperville News 17, I'm Christian Canizal.
The actual anniversary of the Women's Suffrage March in Washington was on March 3rd. Up next, a new hub for esports has come to Naperville.
Once you stop taking prescription medications, it's easy to forget about them. But it's important to dispose of them and to do so properly. Do not flush them down the toilet, which can be hazardous to the environment, or throw them in the trash where kids and pets may find them. Instead, safely dispose of prescription medications in one of the medication drop boxes in the area. For a complete list of drop-off locations, visit communityallianceforprevention.org.
Since 2001, families and friends have been caught reading Positively Naperville. At home, around town, and all over the world. Thanks for reading, in print and online.
There's no way around it. Esports is an industry growing exponentially with professional leagues, collegiate scholarships, and youth programs popping up everywhere. including a new esports cafe on the NIU Naperville campus.
They can have a good time and meet up with some friends and play some games. And it provides a nice space for the community to be able to gather and all that.
Connor Vagel is the president of Northern Illinois Esports Club. He has seen firsthand the explosion in popularity esports has enjoyed.
Oh, esports is huge. It's really growing as well. There are numerous schools that are giving away scholarships or have esports programs. Like at NIU, we currently have an esports club that I'm the president of.
However, this fancy new space is not just for Husky gamers. Janine East is the content and marketing manager responsible for the arrival of the cafe, and community access was a necessity from day one of the project.
We decided that from the start. My project plan always started with an arena in Neptune, Residence Hall in DeKalb, but then immediately start working on Naperville and Hoffman Estates because gaming is all about community, right?
The space will offer access to the public during a set schedule, with gamers paying on a per-hour basis. It also has the potential for hosting events.
This is a place where high school clubs who cannot practice at their own high schools can come here and they can practice together. We've already had a lot of people just stopping in and saying, hey, this is really great, or this is really cool. People are calling up and asking to book birthday parties here. Yeah.
So what has NIU done to ensure this esports cafe is state-of-the-art?
The chairs are designed for gaming. They don't have a lot of cushion to it, so people can respond quicker. The mice that we have on there are weighted so that they can be set up, whether they slide one way or the other faster, or you can stop them faster. We also have larger mouse pads on there as well. We have Logitech headphones with surround sound that go on there. We also have cameras on each one of these that allow them to twitch and stream it.
A gamer himself, Eric Estes is also the superintendent of operations at the NIU Naperville campus, and he understands why gaming is on the rise.
I think it allows creativity. I think it allows people to be important in another world, in another realm. People get to be who they want to be.
And on this night, an open house, an unveiling of the 12 computer docks and various other modes of gaming, and it has members of the public pretty impressed.
I usually play lots of games with them, and we usually spend a lot of time at home playing games, so why not, go out the house and play games. You don't have to stay home on your couch every day.
I'd probably want to come here to game versus staying at my house because all of the TVs are up to date, like the lights are great, you're not going to get the glare like in the middle of the day, the comfy chairs. Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Awesome because it has brought a new means of gaming to the Naperville community. Reporting for Naperville News 17, I'm Kevin Jackman.
And if you have an idea for a sports feature, you can let us know at newstips@nctv17.com. There's a cake that's fit for a king, but built for a baby. Christian Canizal explains how it's a delicious way to celebrate Fat Tuesday.
Typically, when you think about a cake, you might think about frosting and decorations. But what about a plastic baby? It's called king cake, named after King's Day, or the 12th night after Jesus was born. As a symbol of the holy day, the bakers from Harner's Bakery put a tiny plastic baby inside the cake.
Christine is going to put the baby into the king cake. We put it in through the bottom. There we go. Put it in through the bottom, and no one's going to know who's going to get the piece with the baby Jesus until they are ready to eat the cake.
The tradition says the first person to find baby Jesus in the cake are proclaimed king or queen for the day. However, with great power comes great responsibility, as you're also in charge of buying next year's cake. The decorations on top of the oval-shaped cake also have a special meaning.
Purple for passion, and the gold for power, and the green for faith.
The cake symbolizes the end of Christmas season and welcomes pre-Lent celebrations, getting your belly full for Fat Tuesday. For Naperville News 17, I'm Christian Canizal.
And that's what's happening right here in your neighborhood, Naperville. We'll see you next week. Until then, you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course our website, nctv17.com, for daily updates.
This week's Naperville News 17 is brought to you in part by the following sponsors. program is partially funded by a grant from the City of Naperville.